What if, since childhood, you've actually carried around multiple beliefs about yourself simply because you were raised by parents or caretakers that lacked healthy boundaries? Isn't it wild that childhood is the time when we're shaped the most? Though, however, childhood is also the time where we lack self awareness. And because of that, when being raised in survival mode, in an unhealthy childhood, by parents or caretakers that lack healthy boundaries and project all of their stuff onto us, that ends up fucking us up. That ends us leading us that ends to leading us to believe that we are whatever it is that they are projecting onto us. The most challenging thing here is that those who lack necessary conscious self-awareness, they end up believing whatever it is that other people project onto them. These are the people that did not have healthy childhoods. These are the people that don't really know themselves. They did not get healthy ego state development. So they had parents that taught them ideas about themselves actually based on how the parents saw themselves. And they learned to adapt and adopt those beliefs. And with that, they then learned to carry those beliefs with them into adulthood. Projections, displacements, a lot of defense mechanisms that have to do with a person that lacks healthy boundaries giving their shit and their inner turmoil to other, they get confused because not only does that other person lack healthy boundaries, but this person, the I that is receiving, they can't tell the difference between self and other. They did not have that healthy differentiation in childhood. And so, therefore, they lack the capacity to look at it and see it for what it is and be like, oh, you lack healthy boundaries. Oh, you are just projecting or displacing your stuff onto me. Therefore, I don't have to take it personally because it actually doesn't have anything to do with me. People that lack self awareness as a result of either a lack of healthy childhood or they just never took the time to do the work in therapy. These are the types of people that get confused by other people's projections. These are the types of people that take it for face value when somebody says that they're unworthy, or that they're a piece of shit, or that they're an idiot, or that they are stupid, or a loser, or fill in the blank. The word matters, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're basically just taking on somebody else's shit. Of course, the word matters. Words can be disrespectful. But what I'm trying to say when I say that it doesn't matter is that the lack of healthy boundary is probably the most important thing to look at here. Because when an individual lacks healthy boundaries, and actually, this has a lot to do with what I was talking about in the two videos that I made in the past couple of days about how when somebody is straightforward and they lack a filter, not everybody that is straightforward or lacks a filter and says something to you knows actually what they're talking about. Oftentimes, they're just projecting onto you what it is that they feel about themselves and what it is that they need to be doing about themselves. Deep, meaningful human connections take time to unfold. Healthy intimacy, I've said this before in other videos, at least one other video. Healthy intimacy takes time. If you're going to say that somebody is going to be straightforward with you and they're going to know exactly what they're talking about, could it happen sometimes? Sure, I'm not going to discount it and say that it never happens. But for an individual to really know you, it's got to take time. It really does. And so, because of that, it's important to understand that when somebody lacks healthy boundaries, the likelihood that they know you is very low. Why? Well, because they lack healthy boundaries. They hardly even know themselves. I mean, there might be somewhat of, you know, an ego state present, but the walls, the 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 permeability of the boundaries is massive. And therefore things go out with ease that are not healthy to, and things come in with ease that are not healthy to. It's really important to understand that. So, yes, people absolutely, one, get projected onto by people that do not have healthy boundaries. Not only that, but they also confuse other people's shit for their own. And when that happens, you just walk around with other people's shit. It's not your shit, but you lack differentiation. You lack individuation. You lack a clear, conscious sense of self awareness that is necessary for you to be able to see, oh, that person is projecting onto me. So instead, I'm going to recognize the boundary that exists between I and thou, between self and other, and I'm not going to internalize it. I'm not going to personalize it, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time in my life being confused about something that I already know and see for what it is, rather than getting confused by it and allowing it to dictate the way that I see myself. When you have healthy boundaries and therefore know yourself in a clear, healthy, and conscious, self aware way, things that people say to you, they have to pass through a filter. How well you know somebody else is determined by how well you know yourself. How you approach somebody projecting onto you is entirely determined by how well you know yourself. If you do not know yourself that well, the likelihood that you're going to take on somebody else's projection is very high because you lack healthy boundaries. The healthier you know yourself, the better you know yourself, the healthier and better your boundaries are. It's very important to understand this. Healthy boundaries come with self-awareness. And so people that are healthy would never carry the weight of somebody that projects onto them. They wouldn't even be present with somebody that projects onto them. When I say that, I mean they would not entertain any sort of relationship with people that project onto them. That is, unless they're in like a therapy position, a therapist's position, right? So it's really important to understand that. Healthy individuals have healthy boundaries, and therefore, if they were ever even to be in the presence of somebody that is unhealthy and that person was to project onto them, they would see it right off the bat for what it is. They don't allow themselves to go through life being confused by other people's shit being projected onto them because they have the healthy boundaries. They have differentiated between self and other. And when somebody says to them, oh, you're a piece of shit, you're stupid, they look at it and they're like, oh, wow, okay, you're telling me how you feel about yourself. And so that piece right there is very important to understand. Oh, wow, okay, you're telling me how you feel about yourself. The amount of people out there that lack that is very high. And these are the same people that lead themselves further into a life of confusion, carrying around other people's shit because they lack the necessary differentiation and healthy boundaries. And individuation, of course. But when you understand this for what it actually is and see it, your life totally transforms. Healthy boundaries comes with self-awareness. It comes with an understanding of where it is that you begin, where it is that you end, where it is that other begins, and where it is that other ends. And understanding your place in terms of responsibility in their lives. And it's not your responsibility to take on their projections, and they are unhealthy for projecting onto you. But if you don't know yourself, you're going to take their projections and you're going to internalize it, you're going to personalize it. And when somebody tells you that you're a fucking idiot because you don't know yourself that well enough, and with that, you also don't know them well enough, because in order to know them well enough, you need to know yourself well enough. being able to see self and see other, and that differentiation, you're going to carry that around with you. You're going to carry around that belief and idea of idiocy in you. And it's going to confuse you. And it's just going to be this unnecessary extra weight that you carry around. Okay, well, this person read me, apparently. They can tell that I am an idiot, so I am said idiot. Okay, now I don't feel good about myself. But I lack healthy boundaries and I lack necessary conscious self awareness to be able to see that, wait a second, this is actually not mine. This is part of their shit. That's how it works. Any individual that lacks healthy boundaries, that lacks necessary conscious self awareness, is likely to confuse other people's projections as their own. And therefore, with that, carry these beliefs and ideas about themselves that are false and that are other people's shit around with them, and just live life thinking, wow, I'm a fucking idiot. Wow, I'm a fucking. Hey, did you know that I'm a fucking idiot? Hey, did you know that I'm an idiot? I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. Or boundaries. Take time to yourself, get to know yourself. Oh, wait a second. I was just raised by individuals that lack healthy boundaries and projected their shit onto me, and I lacked in childhood the time and space needed to develop a healthy ego state and to become consciously self aware and to see myself for who and what I actually am, that is separate from any other fucked up system that lacks healthy boundaries and projects their shit as a means to deal with their shit. Because people that lack healthy boundaries, the way that they deal with their shit is by projecting their shit onto other people. This is what a lot of people don't understand. Not everybody deals with their shit in an unhealthy way, but people that lack healthy boundaries most definitely deal with their shit in an unhealthy way because they lack healthy boundaries. So their stuff becomes, well, if I was unhealthy and I lacked healthy boundaries, their stuff becomes my stuff. Their stuff becomes, or their stuff becomes your stuff if you lack healthy boundaries. I hope that this is making sense because it's very important to understand this. You could live, I'll end off with this. You could live an entire life taking on other people's projections, believing that you're an idiot, even though that's how they feel about themselves. They're just projecting it onto you. Or you could set boundaries and become deeply self aware, understand individuation, differentiation, differentiate between self and other, I and thou. Oh, wait a second, that is your shit. I'm also not going to hang out with you anymore because you called me an idiot and that's abusive and disrespectful. But that's the way that you deal with your shit because you lack healthy boundaries, and so therefore you're just projecting the way that you feel about yourself onto me. You know how many people go throughout life believing these things about them because somebody else told them, somebody else that lacks healthy boundaries? A lot. It's sad. It's not my responsibility to do anything about it, but again, here I am educating and helping people understand what is actually going on. Again, you can live your entire life believing that you have something that somebody else gave to you, even though it's just their projection, right? Their projection, and that's it. You can live your life believing that you're an idiot because somebody else told you, or you could also see it for what it is and recognize that it's just the way that they feel about themselves. It's uncomfortable for them to sit with, and because of that, they lack healthy boundaries and they project it onto you, onto me, onto him, onto her.